Hello, everybody. Recently, I have been hearing a lot about Bethesda and Starfield, to the point where I thought I would make another video ranting and as well as the future of Bethesda themselves and what can we expect in future installments. First off, Starfield and its new update. Bethesda is trying their best to put in game mechanics as well as do what they can to make the game better from all of the backlash they have received from the community. Some rumor, some is more or less confirmed, but this is definitely probably the best move they could make at the moment, due to the fact that, as I said before, not a lot of people really enjoyed it. But Starfield, it seems, from what I've heard, the exploration is quite boring. Planets are barren, with only slight points of interest being dungeons like caves and some buildings here and there, which is all well and good. Bethesda and their newer games lack so much of the previous ones. Now, what do I mean by that? It's clear to see that ever since Daggerfall, Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, Fallout 3 and 4, and now 76 and Starfield, they have been taking out mechanics to make it more simplified so more like a wider audience can play it. They do this because of mass market appeal. And you're an idiot if you don't take advantage of this and you have a business. So it makes sense. And that's simply put why their games are starting to suck nowadays. It's not because Bethesda themselves are lazy. It's just they're trying to make the money. But I suspect it's more or less to do with the investors. Although now that Starfield has came out and this is something that Bethesda's passion project to show us what they can do, it paints a picture that, well, maybe it's a little bit more than that. Maybe it's not just investors, but it's just Bethesda's lack of ability to actually make a video game, which is something I've actually hinted at being the case many times. When I figured out that the creation engine is not even their own engine, it was Gamebryo, and it still is. They've just evolved it over time. Bethesda's been using the exact same engine since Daggerfall, and that's saying something. And it also explains why they seem to not know their own engine. Because in countless interviews and in countless accounts of people asking Bethesda, well, why does this happen? Why does this happen? They can't really give a concrete reason because they really don't know the actual root of the problem to fix it. Because the engine was never theirs to begin with. They just evolved it over time. And they know more about it now due to the past 2 decades working with it. But alas, and this is something they've always done, they've always catered to like lure in a bigger audience versus keeping a niche. But since they've done that with Starfield, they failed to acquire a newer audience, and they're suffering for it, which is plain to see. And we can only hope that this is a wake-up call for Bethesda, and they shape up and actually take their time and really try hard to make a really good video game. Because I'm going to be honest, if The Elder Scrolls 6 is even a fraction as bad as Starfield apparently is, in terms of not sales, because it sold pretty good because it was such hyped, but in terms of longevity, then they might go bankrupt, or Microsoft might just fire them all and just replace Bethesda, puppeteering their previous brand as a corpse, which they've done with a lot, and I mean a lot of game studios. So it wouldn't be a surprise if that's something they do, is just wear the Bethesda brand to make sales happen for as long as they can until Bethesda's no more. Only time will tell about Bethesda and the future of their games. But if I were you, I would not have an expectation of anything they put out. And that just seems to be in general nowadays. Like, most game and studios, like Blizzard, Bethesda, Ubisoft, they seem to be really, really sucking at making games. And what people need to know is the same teams that worked on their previous masterpieces are no longer a thing. They are in it for the money for the most part, and it's filled with young, inexperienced designers, which ain't a problem if they actually were good at what they was doing, but they're clearly not. And not to mention the writing, especially of Bethesda games, have gotten really bad in the past few years. Skyrim, we ignored this for the most part with Skyrim. Even I ignored it. But with Starfield having a main quest that ain't even really a main quest, but series of Radiant quests that you go on. And that's it. There's no overarching plot in terms of like, uh, oh, you have to save the universe or anything. There's not even that. It's just Radiant quests. I would encourage people to really promote games you actually enjoy. Because most games nowadays are aimed at babies or people that haven't played any of the older classics, so they really don't know what a good game can be. And that's what this is aimed toward: ignorant people, which sadly seems to be the majority. But finally, the internet seems to be waking up just a little bit to the what's been going on for the past like 10 years. Definitely doesn't look good for the Elder Scrolls 6, but I am not going to have any expectation myself. I'm just going to go into it with a fresh, open mind and just see how good it is when it does come out. And I hope, we can only hope, Bethesda takes this criticism and fixes their problem before they branch it off into the next Elder Scrolls. Because if that happens, they're probably going to be done. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you on the next one. Peace out, and have a very wonderful day. And I hope all y'all have a very fantastic new year.